Ladies and gentlemen, it's
course that the clerk asked for in October. Did she complete it?
okay. I can answer you that she didn't know.
Right, well, any money that she incurred should be reimbursed in terms of good business. She also spent £53 something on extra hours, which I think should be replaced. The books presumably stay in your possession.
That's correct, yes.
Cynics have said to me, and it's not my opinion necessarily, but cynics have said it's a not insignificant amount, and also it corresponds not very differently to the amount increased in the precept, which is something of a comment. So I do think that you should expect being reimbursed by a certain amount, if nothing else, probably £300 or so. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, for your comments.
I've sort of got a follow-on from that. I just thought of that. My last 3 work contracts have all had pieces in there about repayments of training courses within certain periods of time of leavings, of joining. So that's common practice, I think, in business. And the other thing I think is, do you know whether the working from home allowance is in arrears or
We pay in arrears.
In arrears. Okay.
Any other comments from the board? Ian? Cambridge Councillor.
Okay, thank you. Tomorrow is Cambridgeshire County Council full council, where we will be setting the budget. You could hold the front door open with it if you wish. Okay. These are the papers for tomorrow. Let's hope it's a little shorter than a couple of years ago where it took us 12 hours to set the budget. As you would expect, there are a process that goes through to reach this point. So if I just highlight what happens across all committees, so the budget for that particular committee, whether it's children's, adults or whatever, goes to the committee, it gets discussed, it gets amended, it comes back to the committee, it gets discussed, it gets amended, and eventually it ends up at the General Purposes Committee, which is where all the chairmen come together, and then from there it goes to the full council, because we set the full council's responsibility to set the precept, discuss the budget, etc. So that's what will happen tomorrow. You can watch it. It starts at 10:30. Hopefully it won't be for 12 hours that it was a couple of years ago. So we would hope that but you can watch it. It's live streamed, so you can watch it if you're got nothing else to
spare 12 hours.
Yeah, thank you for that. It was about. It starts at 10:30. It was 10 o'clock actually. I apologise. It's 11 and a half hours. But it felt like 12 at the time. That was an exception, not the rule actually. So I would anticipate, for instance, that tomorrow will be hopefully finished by the end of the play. If not, we all have to come back on Friday to continue the discussion from a reserve fallback position. As you might imagine, for instance, I'll talk about my particular committee now, where the budget went forward, and at the end of the discussion, ×2, put it like that, where it came back, it was voted upon by all parties of all persuasions to approve the budget that my committee looks after to go forward. Now, I consider that to be a success, personally, because it's never easy to get all the parties to agree to everything, because there's lots of different views, as you might imagine, in politics. There will be amendments put forward by political parties tomorrow, which is pretty standard and not new. It happened last year and happened 20 years ago as well. And they will get duly discussed and voted upon in due course and debated in the fullness of time. Just to give you a little bit of insight into what is being suggested. I can only say suggested because it's not voted upon. I'm sure you're aware, you're probably very aware, Peter, that the pressure on people with needs is increasing adults, children, etc. It's all in the papers across the services, and of course we have a duty of care for people who are vulnerable, and therefore those, in my personal view, take a priority over the potholes. Okay, if I have a choice between a child being in care and a pothole, it's not a difficult conversation for me. So that will be one of the issues tomorrow. We will, what is being suggested, that's across the parties by the way, that we set a preset like we did last year for the 2%, which would particularly go into vulnerable areas, and obviously there are other discussions about what's in the budget or not. It's actually, I'm anticipating it, I shouldn't say this really, should I, that it will finish by 4 is what I did to do.
You're taking bets on it.
Yeah, I could lose as well, Sarah. Okay, there's actually not there's a relative degree of coming together, I think is the word to do, in particular related to vulnerable. There's always some nuance about some of the other issues which don't necessarily fit into need area of children or learning disabilities or adults with care, etc. So I'm anticipating it will be not, I won't need to go back on Friday, put it like that. So, but there are obviously suggestions being made from other parties which will get duly discussed. So one of the biggest change is that, give you perhaps a difference, is the police, most of their funding comes from central government. About 80% comes from central government and 20% comes from us, the taxpayer. And the county, of course, the grant from central government is, and has been, it's not new, it's going down. We won't be getting much from central government in a year or two. So therefore that means that you and I have to step up to the plate a bit more. And there is now a proposal, for instance, that we can, as a county, put 1% more on top of what we already put on, normally, put it like that, to cater for that. My bit of the service is now virtually not taking account from you, the taxpayer. Over the last 5 or 6 years, I'm getting considerable amounts of money in from income. And that comes from developers, because we charge them. That comes, so we have a fairly strict regime of people who come along and say, would you give us advice? Well, the answer, of course we will give you advice, but it comes with a bill you have to pay, and if you don't pay, you won't get the advice. So from my particular area, there's one little bit not quite there yet, but things like archaeology, which is in my area as well, which most people tend to forget. So where you see all the archaeology being digged up to the A14, all that's mostly connected with Cambridgeshire County. All that is cost neutral to you, the taxpayer, and is charged to the developers or the organisation. So where you've got, for instance, the Combined Authority, or you've got the Greater Cambridgeshire Partnership, who ask us to do something, whatever that something is, they get a bill. So my bit is virtually not needing the grant from central government anymore. That's a very simple way of putting it, but and there's a bit more, as you might imagine, with this lot behind it all. But that also goes to transformation, okay, in transforming the service, because we work very closely with the NHS and social care, etc. So there's a very much coming together, if you like, in that area as well. But the one thing you can guarantee is it's not got any easier over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's certainly not got any easier. We will set tomorrow, rest assured, a balanced budget, which is absolutely crucial. We will set a balanced budget. If you have to sit there for 12 hours, we will set a balanced budget. We have a duty to set a balanced budget, and that will happen. I'm absolutely 100% sure of that. Lots of other councils around the country are, you might consider, in a similar position or even worse. I won't go there.
No.
Okay. Happy to answer any questions, but essentially that's what has occupied quite a lot of time running up to setting the budget tomorrow, you know, for the last 3 or 4 months. Once we finish this one, we start the next one.
So it'd be 2% plus 2% plus 1%.
That's, I would have a guess, a
Yes.
reasonable guess, that it will be 5% in total. And I think there's pretty well sort of consensus. There's what I call discussion on the edges, as I would describe it. Not the fundamentals, it's on the edges. Okay? The other bit which is receiving some of the publicity is actually the County Council a move from Shire Hall. That decision has been made. We will move out of Shire Hall. We will move to Olkenbury. Currently, we will sell Shire Hall. We won't sell the freehold. We will keep hold of the land, as you might say. To date, there's been a considerable flux of information and interest from a wide variety of developers, particularly hotels. As you've ever seen Shire Hall, you'd understand that pretty well by looking at the building, because it has a car park and it's right near Cambridge, etc. Colleges, of course. Okay. Again, you wouldn't be surprised that the university colleges are interested. Not the university, the college, whichever college it happens to be. I won't name which ones I know about, but they're interested in it, and see that's mostly for accommodation. For those that know Shire Hall, the building which is just behind it, which used to be occupied by County Council staff, we have now not sold the land, but it is leased to college for education accommodation. So there's interest in what I call most hotels and colleges, and to date a considerable number. We have not reached the point of who's got the best offer on the table, because it all has to go through due process and etc. And currently in Shire Hall there's about 1,300 staff who don't have a desk anyway. I think the chief exec's got a desk, but apart from that not many others have. What we're looking to do is move to Olkenbury. Will be considerably smaller. So at the moment 1,300 staff. The new accommodation will be 350 staff. And we will dispense with the usual of having a big building with lots of staff, to put the staff actually much closer to where they work and where their clientele would be or their staff would be. So if traditionally they work in Finland or East Cambs or Hunts or the city or South Cambs, they will be located much more closer to where they work and the people that they represent, and that includes highways, adults, everybody else. All that work is not yet complete, but it will happen. And obviously we've got to go through some discussions with the developer as we go forward.
Thank you.
Now, one of the reasons perhaps you've read in the press is a lot of that, but I think the important bit is how much that would actually be put back into frontline services. That bit is not quite seeing the light of day that I would like, but the premise of what we're doing is to protect the front line. We've now got a chief executive who is joint with Peterborough. Everything else is joint with Peterborough, and those discussions are ongoing with Peterborough. We will come much closer to Peterborough on all the services.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody got any questions for Ian? His County Council role? Thank you very much. Yeah, hope tomorrow goes smoothly.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
It will.
Yes.
Bring about 5 if I'm there, you'll know it's good.
Okay. Go back to the agenda then. Item 2 on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the Parish Council meeting held on the 3rd of December 2018. No apologies, everybody was here. Everybody happy? I propose that those accepted.
Second.
Thanks, Rob. All those in favour?
I'm abstaining, sorry, I haven't read them, wasn't
Right, item 3.1 is Play Park. Any feedback on the application for the grant? Or is it too early yet?
I've had some feedback. So the Amy application is just an expression of interest, and we have now been invited to do a full application. So the deadline of that was the 18th of February. So I'll be doing that full application process. I think I may require your signature on that, Ian, because you agreed to be our independent referee. So I may need to get your signature for the 18th.
That's fine.
The REN application was a full funding application that went in December. I did get one question back from them in January, which I've responded to, and I've now been told that we'll just be put forward for the decision on the 13th of March. So I think we'll hear shortly after that. Mick George, in the end, we did not do an application for. You needed to have all the funding in place. Either you had to do the whole funding application with them, and our project was above their upper limit, or you had to have the rest of your funding secured, which we don't currently have, so we're unable to do that application for them. We have, I'm pleased to say, been successful in receiving a grant from Hilton Town Trust, and they have offered a grant of £2,500. So they're happy to put that towards the contributing third-party payment, which we discussed at the last meeting that we need. So that's good news.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to them. And the baby and toddler group have also confirmed to me, but haven't yet had it sort of formally in writing, but that they would be willing to donate £1,000 towards the project, and that they've collected over weeks and years of people attending that they haven't sort of needed to spend, and I think it would be a good project to spend that they would make use of in the village. So just need to get back in touch with them to see if they could just confirm that to me in email in writing, so we can submit that with this full application when I do that in February.
Thank you. I thought it was going to be no.
She's done a grand job.
No, really good job. I went through the application that Laura did. It was huge.
Yeah. I'm hoping with this next one I can do a lot of copy and paste. Most of it I'm sure will be similar. The only thing that's outstanding for that, which Sarah's helping to follow up on, is that the Amy application has asked about disability audits, which the other one didn't. All the playground providers that did the proposals talked to us about the equipment and the use of the use by people with disabilities, etc. But I don't know if there's an official audit. The application form seemed to suggest there was a specific audit that needs to be completed, and also whether we've contacted any local groups or anyone for input into our design process. So I know Anne's given a couple of...
You have contacted the village,
Yeah.
including the toddler group.
Yeah.
Do the playground folk, the manufacturer, installer, would they not have a kind of statement about this?
Yeah, so Sarah's going to try and contact them.
I'm going to give a ring. Funnily enough, one of the companies, can't remember which one, actually emailed me when I was away last week, and I said, thanks very much, I'm away, but I'll get hold of you on Tuesday, and there's a couple of things that I need. So I'll ring all the companies, and I bet one of them will be able to point me.
I think there'd be some sort of statement, because a lot of them, when they came to see us, were talking about the fact that this is really good because it's access to so it's so that credentialings and things like that. So hopefully there'll be some sort of generic statement we can put in there. I don't know how we could audit it at this point. I'm sure the audit sounds like something you do after
Get somebody to come in,
I wonder if Ben Stanton, that recently finished theirs, did you ever talk to any of the Clark? I think we got Joe to talk to.
Clark,
I'll see if I can also have a go at the person that was quite involved, or the council was quite involved. I'll come back to you on that tomorrow by email.
But my only other comment, it's not about the funding, but it was matters arising from the last meeting, so hopefully okay to discuss.
Is it on the agenda?
Well, it's matters arising from the last meeting about the play park.
Yeah, it's play park, it's fine.
So we briefly mentioned the comments we've had about the play park or other recruitment facilities, location on the green or other areas of common land, and the feedback we'd had from that. So I just wanted to bring it up at a meeting, not necessarily to discuss today because we haven't necessarily got it on the agenda, but just as I don't want to just not discuss it in an open forum because lots of people did provide their feedback, and I think it's unfair on those people to not discuss it. And also just to make sure that we're discussing it with the correct facts behind us, because I'm not certain, but I'm thinking there may be some confusion between the requirement to deregister and exchange common land, which is required when we talked about the graveyard, for example, because it's completely changing use of the land, and an application for consent to do work on common land, which would be done under Section 8 consent of the Commons Act, which is slightly different because it's consistent with enjoyment and usage of the land as it stands as common land, rather than completely changing its usage to residential usage or something else. So I don't know completely 100% ins and outs, but I think if we have any discussion, it needs to be with the correct information behind it, so that we are being fair on parishioners.
Can I then make my point on this? I wasn't aware.
Can we put it on the agenda as a detailed discussion point and have the facts of that? You can say it, but we won't discuss it.
No, I won't discuss it. I wasn't aware that we were going to have that comment at this meeting. Thought it was going to be another one. We haven't talked, I've been away.
This isn't
But
really about the
No,
current
it's
part.
right.
Oh, it's just the
It's
other.
not an agenda item, so we're not going to discuss it.
No, I'm not
We're
going
going
to
to put it
discuss
on
it.
the agenda for next time, and we can discuss it in depth.
I'd like to make one point before this could go further. I have been in communication with a couple of farmers because I'm very aware that we need to try and do something for what the parishioners said. In my opinion, I would hate to see that green destroyed. So I am working very hard to see, and I will bring it to the Parish Council once I've got anywhere with it, if I can, to see if we can find some land to then be able to satisfy and give parishioners what they are requiring. End of statement.
Thank you. We'll put it on the agenda for next time.
Thank you.
Items 3.2 and 3.3. These two have been on the agenda now. This is Facebook and supporting documents, and I still believe that we need to postpone discussion on these until we have a clerk, and the clerk is in position and understands what the role is of their job, got used to it for a couple of months, and then we can try and expand what they do. I think it would be harsh to change what we have until we have a clerk in place. So I would propose that we defer these two for 3 months.
Is it, so I understand the concept and I agree with the principle. Is there a basic discussion we need to have before we get there though, in terms of is it something we want to do? Because the semantics of who does it is irrelevant if we don't want to do it. So I'm just thinking, while we're here, I think that the broader question is it something as a council we want to do? So I think it might be a really good question, it might not. But,
so is it something we want to do?
So I think it was really successful, what the team did for a play park, and I think it was very good. I also see neighbouring villages do it, so I personally think it is a good thing to do if we can control it in a nice way.
The Facebook thing?
Yeah. That's a way of thinking of the village. Is that something that's widely agreed, or are there people that feel different?
At the moment, I'm very much anti-Facebook and social media, I'm afraid to say, because of some of the hate stuff I've seen and where it goes. So I would need a lot of convincing, personally.
In my personal experience from just working with Peace Week over the last few months, we definitely, first of all, we've had no hate mail. We did have someone put something quite interesting on Facebook, which we did take off again. It was quite funny. We've had no hate mail. It has been incredibly positive. It's been an incredible way of getting information to people and for people to give us feedback. We do monitor it very carefully, but so far it has been totally positive. And I think it would be a real benefit to the Parish Council to run a Facebook page where we can communicate. Communication is a way where you can get things done and stop things from going negative.
From being misunderstood.
And misunderstood, absolutely.
So I'm quite a fan, I think, although I'm not utilised. But my thought is that we've learned so much about the use of social media. A lot of it, okay, we'd rather not have seen, but having realised it can be misused as well as used, then let's make sure we learn from it. And if we do use it, that we do monitor it.
There's some huge stuff at the moment. So despite all the years it's been out there, has been monitored, there is some huge stuff at the moment going on about.
Oh, indeed.
But we can pull it down. If it goes wrong, we can pull it down. But instead of not doing it, let's try it. It also will bring the younger generation.
Business Facebook page is pretty actually simple to restrict it, and you can restrict what goes on there.
That's what I was going to say. Businesses have Facebook pages and they're not free-for-alls for people to post comments and things on them. They're ways of businesses just sharing information. I'm sure, I don't know the ins and outs either, but I think there are restrictions to and the way you create it, whether it's as a page or a group or how you create it. I think it's all in the setup. So
yeah. That's fair.
And it is a way of getting the young generation to actually contract and look, because it's the way they communicate.
Well, it's not the younger generation. Actually, statistically, it's what's middle-aged folk, apparently. Young people are constantly.
I didn't mean idiots, I meant, you lot.
I might be called young, but...
Right, so we need to look into it more about what restrictions we can have on it.
And some along the lines, somebody can tell me the difference between Facebook and WhatsApp.
Oh, and we'll do a...
Not
Yeah.
here. Not
No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes,
WhatsApp's easy. You said you control who's in your group.
So where are we going to go from that? Are we going
We need to get some more information then.
Can we have someone that knows about Facebook to actually come and just do a 5-minute, this is how you do it, and these are the pros and cons for next meeting? I don't know enough about it. Do you, Rob?
Probably.
Great. Would you like to do a 5-minute, this is what it does do?
Possibly.
Rob to consider.
I won't be here for next month, mate.
No.
So it will be 3 weeks, 3 weeks.
So the one after, which will be April.
You could teach Anne, she'll tell us.
Job done. It's done.
I'm not around most of February.
Won't take long.
April, then.
Facebook.
We'll take it forward for April. Okay, that'll give some time to get some information together and Rob to do a presentation. Will you need a projector? And slides. And maybe Facebook will.
Good opportunity.
Carries on getting its back. It's good.
You haven't seen its stock price recently.
See?
You haven't seen its stock price recently.
Yeah, I know. That's because
They're something right.
they're going to merge
Yeah.
Instagram, WhatsApp and Facebook into one messaging platform, aren't they? Is what they consider. And then with the supporting documents, I think that really needs to let the clerk get to run and to understand what they're doing first of all.
But
before.
shouldn't we provide some sort of specification? As I know the NOC or whatever it have kind of standards for supporting documents, but don't we want to? That's an opportunity that we have to actually say, right, in addition to whatever the standards and NOC requirements, we want our supporting documents to do this or look like that or whatever.
Okay. Give us some information then, because tell us what you want.
Well, suggesting that we craft something between us.
Well, shall we do it next month and we can all go away and try and maybe look at a few other parish councils
Indeed.
and come back and have a next
Share some
February have a
ideas.
session and try and put it together of what we would like to see. I don't know if this adds to it though, Peter. Should we review our standing orders at the same time? Because does that then pick up what duties or extra duties that the clerk, we could ask the clerk to do? I'm sort of been looking at standing orders
Yeah.
and looking at the model of standing orders, and I do wonder if we should review it and see if it still fits with our requirements as a parish council.
They're very prescriptive, aren't they? What you have to have.
Yes, they are. But then there are bits that you can tweak. And I don't think...
We are getting a little off topic here from Facebook.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
just
this
our
is-
further
this is good.
supporting documents.
If you would like to propose that for the next
Okay, I'll
agenda
remember.
item, I'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
So supporting documents, Anne has proposed that we,
Share ideas on
yeah,
what we want from our supporting documents, what parishioners might want, and then debate it in March. It would actually helpful if we could maybe share ideas between us before.
Email some ideas backwards and forwards.
set up a
Yeah.
working group to have a look at it. Then you can have a little meeting and discuss and bring it to council. That's the
Yes, that
idea,
makes sense.
not general emails between council.
Well, just to share, not to
Needs
debate
to be,
it, but just to share.
well, if you have a little group, you can actually debate it then, can't you?
Yeah, but the whole idea of sharing is that everybody has the same knowledge, so when we come together to
But
debate.
that's what you do. You have your little group, you debate it, you come up with your ideas, you share it with the councillors, it's debated at council meeting.
Yeah, but you're then debating it with a few have the knowledge and the rest don't.
But you circulate it before the meeting so that they have a
Well,
supporting
we've got
documents.
2 days max, it's not enough. Thank you.
Okay.
I think it's useful to circulate it if we're able to earlier.
You circulate it earlier to people, but if there's a little group that does the work and then circulates it to everybody, that would be the way you should do it.
I don't see the problem.
Because you should not be having full discussion between
Well,
clerks.
it's just a discussion, I
Wait.
simply said sharing.
So who's going to stop people replying and commenting? As you have done on emails between meetings. There are quite strict rules on this. So one of the rules is that you should set a working group, they discuss it, come up with ideas and come back to the councillors with their ideas.
But I thought the rules were set in order to ensure that the parishioners had access, as it were, to the debate. So in my view, even if, and I'm not suggesting we discuss it online, just that we share
Sure.
information, but if there is any discussion, then we should be quite prepared to share those emails where something was discussed. As far as I'm concerned, if there is any discussing, let's say, between us prior to, say, a public meeting, then we should be prepared to share the contents of that discussion.
And that's what you do at the meeting, yeah.
For me, it's not an
You
issue.
have to make a decision open.
All decisions need to be made
That's
open.
what I mean, so there'll be no
Recommendations
decisions made
can
between.
come to your working group.
Mm.
So set up a working group, discuss it, come up with some recommendations and put it to the council.
I think.
Because otherwise you're losing a month.
I'm thinking about that. I'm not happy with that. So,
Okay. If you don't want to do it
so
that way,
let's have
don't
it
do it
on
that
the
way.
agenda that
Yeah.
we're going to debate.
Let's do a bit more investigation on that
Yeah,
as well.
the supporting documents and possibly some areas. I'm not quite sure what the issue is there. And see where we get to.
And I think we can add into that as well, the fact that I think that we should be able to have access, or we should be able to read all emails from parishioners that come in to the parish clerk. And I'm quite sure you can state that in standing orders as well, to get over any issues with whatever it is, whatever it is. But I feel that we don't have enough information of what the parishioners are saying half the time as well. I know I agree we shouldn't discuss it, but we should be made aware of it to share it. So there is a sharing thing there.
Okay, we'll put some up together.
3.4.
Peter, can I just make a quick comment, please?
Go on then.
I think from what Anne said at one of the previous meetings, one of the intents of this was to make documents available for us, to understand better what the meeting's contents are. Can I suggest we have a member of the parishioner on the working group or whatever it is to feed into that? Because in the end it's the benefit to us as much as anything to understand better the contents of the meetings that
If
we're
the
doing.
working group set up, Andy,
Yeah, can we just put that forward as a
Yeah,
suggestion?
noted.
Thank you.
okay, 3.4, clerk to the parish council. Discuss vacancy situation regarding the course paid for previous clerk. Now, we've heard comment at the beginning of the meeting. Unfortunately, the course was paid for. We are getting half the course fee back, and we're not getting all the money for the registration at the end of it. Unfortunately, that's one of those business things that happens. There isn't anything in our contract to say pay back what you've paid up for, but will have the benefit of no clerk salary in January and February to counteract that.
So again, what did you say you were getting back?
Half the fee for the course.
Just because it wasn't completed from the end.
Yeah. So that's going back full.
So what, exactly half, or because I think Joe completed the...
Half the fee would be half the fee, wouldn't it?
I thought it was in 2 parts.
Half the fee, not the registration fee, but half the fee. I haven't seen the exact amount yet because it hasn't come from bank account.
There was a qualification fee, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So that we don't get that seems weird because you won't get the qualification at all.
But that's unfortunately one of those things.
But it did make me think that, I mean, I have to confess, my first reaction on learning that Joe had resigned was, my gosh, we just paid all this money for that training. And I agree with the point made that in future, before we have someone go off for training, that we say, you sit with us for at least a year.
There's some sort of contractual.
In some
I agree.
arrangement, because I it's not.
I'm sure Joe
I think we
didn't...
discussed that actually at the time when we agreed the money with Joe. I'm sure we discussed it in the meeting. I'm sure we discussed her remaining in post for a year. I know it's not contractual in her contract, but I remember having...
That was a big mistake.
So maybe when we do the contract for the new clerk, that should be added, not discussed each time, but just be standard.
So I think it should be there, yeah. I think it's absolutely right. I don't think it should be limited to clerk either, because it's not the only people that do training courses. I think whenever we do a training course, we need to make sure we get the benefit. You know, and that information should be shared in appropriate
So that should go into standing orders, that bit, and then the clerk's contract is the other bit, isn't it? I agree with that. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Because it's the parishioners' money.
Yes.
Exactly. I agree with that.
I'm actually quite impressed with doing half the fee for that.
Yeah, so I'm surprised, because usually if you sign up for a course and that's it, it's gone, which is a shame, because that's the way it happens. But like I say, we will have recouped that money. So we have a vacancy. Closing date is the 10th of February. Interviews to be on the 13th of February. I did have a little thing came out which said there was a course available in March for new clerks training, which would cover essential information to allow new clerks as well as those who have been in place for some time to find their way around the legislation processes and procedures of town and parish councils. Cost £240 for member councils. Now I think that we should be looking at offering the new clerk that training, because it will help them round this mire of standing orders, NALC requirements, SLCC requirements, but obviously it sounds like you'd like it in the contract, then they would stick with us. Which will be a difficult one to do because they'll be on 6 months probation. That's starter.
I suppose that would be at our risk then, if we decide to do it after the 6 months.
I think you can only do it at this stage, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think you can impose something in to terms of the contract. I think contractually, like I say, this fee will be paid back pro rata by over a period of time if you choose to leave that period. I don't think it's complicated.
No.
Contractually to document.
The other thing going through, sorry, Laura, I couldn't get into that.
No, I was just saying asking about the job description. I still couldn't find it on the website. So the link to the job description went to the old website, and when you went to the old website, it just said go to the new website.
I'm not going to.
So I still haven't seen the job description. So the link that shows the advert
so
didn't
it's
go
there.
to the job description.
There was a correction on the link later.
Yeah, I saw a correction on the dates and everything, but it still had the old website and
Yeah, that did change.
been changed again.
That was changed.
Okay.
One of the things that struck me about the job description and these links to your raising a point about salaries and so on, is actually the clerk has got a high level of responsibility. They're not accountable, but they're responsible for a very wide range of things. And that said to me two things. The more able and competent a person we can find, the better. Obviously, it depends on who applies, who wants to do it. But I would go for the best we can find. Secondly, in terms of salary, I wouldn't determine what that would be until we find someone and decide, you know, what is their level of capability, and therefore which of the bands, because it's all laid out, is appropriate.
Isn't it normal that you say according to, you know, their
Yeah,
capabilities, we're going to go somewhere between this
Yes, exactly.
and this,
Yeah.
not we're going to start there? Because
Yeah, I
that
agree with
basically means whoever you take
You
on.
could have someone that's been a clerk for
Oh,
5
yeah,
years,
if you had-
for example, so
Good.
you don't know
If
that.
you did.
But I'm a bit concerned that we've written it down now. Are we now?
But we've written down.
We've written down the idea of the band. I think it was in one of the.
It's not.
No,
It's not on the job spec.
no.
It's on some.
I sent you out an email with the
You
paid
did.
bands, so that
You
you
did.
had information suggesting
It was
that
a
when
suggestion.
Jo started, she was on
Band
band 18, and
Yeah.
that would seem to be a reasonable place to start. If you had a new clerk.
So
I would leave it open and just say within the year.
I think it has to be with it. Where did Jo finish off then, or
At the top, after her years.
8 years?
Yeah. No, not 8 years.
Right.
5.
So,
So, that's
don't
fine.
have to write it, so. And on the interviews on the 13th,
Yes.
who's interviewing?
Right, so, there was a suggestion by council that everybody interviewed the people that were applying. I would think it would be more appropriate to have 3 people. Because I think this is a 10-hour-a-week job. To be faced by 9 people for your job, you get I've not heard of any interviews where you have 9 people in front of you. So, at this moment in time, I would think it would be chairman, vice chairman and someone else. Any volunteers?
I would, but I won't be here. It's unfortunate, otherwise I would very much like to.
And then you're going to do, the proposal is that you do the interviews, you get the applicant CVs, and then you sit back in the meeting in whichever date of March it is, and then we all deliberate it between ourselves.
We would have the interview panel would come back to the Parish Council with its recommendations.
And what happens?
And
if
we
the-
may well have a meeting late February.
And what happens if the parish council don't agree with the recommendations of the 3 people in the committee?
Then I guess the 3 people on the committee would ask why.
See, I think it would be better even if all the parish councils don't interview, but they sit there and they listen. And then you could have a deliberation once the applicants have made their presentation.
The proper suggestion, I suggest you share the CVs beforehand with the
Yes.
parishioners, the councillors, and other councillors to make comment and feed questions into the.
Okay.
I still think that having 9 people around
Yeah, I think
would
you're
be
right.
just...
Is there a person or something that you, like when I've been interviewing in the past, you have some sort of criteria that you're marking or scoring people against, so that you have to meet certain criteria, yes or no, or do you get points that, have we got a particular criteria we're measuring against, or is it?
We had a criteria last time.
We have actually, although again that's something that might be worth sharing around to say, how do we improve on that? Or sharpen up the questions or whatever it might be. Because I agree with you, the criteria just helps you kind of pitch things at the right level. For that. So share CDs beforehand. People have, parish councillors have to say on criteria and how people might be challenged with questions.
How are we going to agree on criteria if they're being interviewed next week?
We have a criteria out there.
Okay, you've got one already, if there is one.
It's just commenting on the existing, really, that could be done.
Is anything we could?
Just feeding on.
just to endorse what Peter's saying, I've been involved twice in the past interview, and certainly 3 people was enough in the Parish Council situation. One of the things we were trying to do was to get the person to relax so you could get to understand a little bit more about what's going on within their mind. And the more people you have there in front of you, the less able you are to do that. Yeah, yeah. So,
You could put
I'm
together
certainly
an
glad-
assessment centre, really.
Intro exercise.
Yeah, quite. All of the above. Anyway, it's not funny. Okay, so we'll comment on the criteria that exist. And
Are you going to whiz that around to us all then?
I'm going on holiday tomorrow, so it's
No.
not a good idea to
No,
not
it's
ask
definitely
me
not.
Do we have a volunteer?
to interview,
Yeah.
not for security.
I've almost talked myself into it. However, I land back in the UK at 4 o'clock next Wednesday. Now, if our flight is delayed,
Yes.
it might be difficult.
Sarah?
No, I haven't got the skill sets to do it.
Wednesday.
Pressure.
Yeah, I haven't got enough else on, why not?
Come back to you.
Well volunteered.
Thank you. I'll come back
Thanks
to you
all.
with location and time.
There are 3 other people there,
Yeah.
at least 2 of whom I think will be eminently suited.
If someone else is...
One
that's
is
fine.
That's true.
It's Graham
Yes.
and Peter and
Yeah.
Laura and then
Sharon.
Kieran and
Sharon.
Sharon.
I can ask the RT if you like, but if you'd like to do it.
I'm happy to do it, yeah. Do I have Sharon or... Who's it?
Get male,
Kieran.
male, female,
Kieran.
male, female
Yeah,
balance.
because it'd be good if me or Sharon would, so yeah, it's a male female balance.
I'll let that one go. Anything else about Park's vacancy?
Not at all. Sure, I think it's enough.
So the final decision isn't made until the next Parish Council meeting
Or
with
a
the person...
meeting in between?
Oh, a meeting between, so...
Because it would be nice to
That's
to start
yeah.
beginning of next winter.
And are you going to just send round the CVs to all the parish councillors so they can come back with any comment before the interview process?
I can do.
That would be really
Yes,
good. Please.
Try anonymise them.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Try anonymise them.
Why?
I just, in case you don't want to know, have any preconceived ideas of who it is.
I don't think it's
quite
necessary.
trustworthy.
Do you?
Oh, I'm going to see them in person.
Precisely.
So
No, I don't think that makes any difference.
Which one are you?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get the CVs then. Yeah, and I have the books, by the way. The course that was paid for, so we have those books.
Actually, the laptop is a PC laptop. Did Joe ever buy a new laptop to
No,
be
she
passed on?
didn't.
So we've still got to organise buying that for the new park commission.
Yes. I have the previous one.
Have you tried it out of interest?
It will not connect to the internet.
In a double.
She was right there.
I cannot.
Do you want to double up?
Do you want to have a look at it?
Might as well.
Yeah, because I cannot get the thing to connect to the internet. I've tried this and that and the other. Mind you, we have changed broadband providers, so I haven't tried out a new broadband provider with effect from this morning.
Isn't it something to do with Hilton Broadband?
No.
No, I don't know what it is, but it just won't find the internet connection. I think it's most peculiar. But there we go. So I've got all the hardware as such. There are 2 filing cabinets that Joe stood with historical stuff in, and I've got a little filing cabinet. There's bits that come with the job to be stored in people's homes. But of course, when we get on to wherever it is,
Further down the bottom. Yeah.
there is a route on that at some point. Okay, 3.5, Highways have notified that they have put their application in to change the A14 to a motorway. They came to a Parish Council meeting here and told us that there'd be no impact to the village about the change to the motorway. There is a consultation period which is open until the 28th of February. The Parish Council should make a representation to Highways about its view.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly always going to do that. In a sense, it is nothing more than an opportunity for us to make demands or even requests. So, I mean, they won't change it, so all we can do is...
I think we should make some comments that
yes.
this application has been put in the parish, Hilton as a village has been one of the worst affected,
Yeah.
blah blah, as we've said throughout the consultation process, and that
Well, building a tenuous link, because people with L plates can't now travel to Cambridge on the A14, our younger children who can't use buses, and we're thinking of learning we'd be able to get to Cambridge. And therefore we need a bus service. Done.
Good
one.
Send us that. Rob,
Send
us that. L plates, because they'll come back and say there's a local road running alongside the A14 that will go into Cambridge directly, all the way along the length of the existing A14.
Is that the old A14?
No, they're building a new local road alongside. So
More roads.
yeah,
As well as the old days.
no, where the Swavesey onwards
Oh,
into
okay.
Cambridge, there will be a local road on one side of the A14, so that you don't have to go on the A14 to get to
So
Cambridge.
in effect,
So
it's
the
not-
new road, which would be the motorway status bit, I don't know, I can't remember whether all of that A14 was going to be, or whether it's just the new bit.
Just
I
a
think it's
bit.
the new bit, isn't
Just
it?
the bit between Swavesey and
It's pretty much
joins to
motorway.
Peterborough, so all
Yeah,
of it
yeah.
really.
Yeah. But they've decided this is going to happen because when we were driving back from Birmingham the other night, and there was all sorts of warnings about stuff that's going on with the A1.
Yeah.
They were going by the new the A14M.
Yeah, they're not going. They put the application in. The application to the Secretary of State. There is an opportunity to make comment by the 28th of February.
You know, are there any things like the mitigation to noise, like the road surfacing, anything like that we can add to at this point that they disagreed with previously, potentially, that we could say, can you look again at this and this?
Yeah.
What's their justification for doing it, I guess?
What did they say when they came to the meeting? I wasn't at
Well,
the
what he
start of
said
that
at the
meeting.
meeting was that they had defined it as an expressway without actually ever defining the word expressway. And the minister, in his wisdom, decided that was the same as a motorway, so we'll just call it a motorway. So the actual design, and as far as I could understand at that meeting, nothing is different. It's just now going to have blue signs. And
Yes. That was what they're
But
saying.
it is an opportunity to say, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I did notice Openreach were going down along the bridge. Is that anything to do with the gantries and stuff? Would it be? Why would Openreach be laying cables
Oh, it's
over
for the internet.
Pass.
Yes.
So we can spy on you.
It's the
The conduits on the other.
I've got that through.
The conduits on the other side of the road, so Openreach used to have it down this side. And of course, now the new bridge, they have to put it in the conduit, which is on the other side, so they're having to relay it into Hilton.
The other side will be wanting the path.
That's the one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So okay, we'll send
Yes,
them
is the short answer there.
and we'll send that saying about no more lighting, a bit more mitigation, perhaps.
Because that was the only thing they said at the meeting. Potentially, the gantries may make more light pollution because the gantries would be lit at certain times depending on the traffic flow.
Start.
But I don't think they can tell us where the gantries will be.
No. No.
Well, part of them are up already, aren't they?
I was going to say, I lost my already.
Yeah, they didn't say that. They remember talking about afterwards. Okay, we'll draft and put something up.
Yeah.
To this planning inspector. I mean, we've said lots of stuff in the past about mitigation, and it's all been sadly.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
One of the things that does strike me, and the more I see of it, is that by smoothing the flow in and out of the county, they're actually making more complex all the junctions for every other kind of traffic, whether it's B roads or just A roads or cycle paths or footpaths. It's messier to get anywhere because you've got to cross this thing, or you've got to go under it or over it, or define ways around it. So they are actually adding a lot to just local living, getting in the way of local living. I don't know how you word that.
No.
I'll leave it to think.
Yes. I will. I'll do this before. I'll let you see it before. It'll go up on the website.
Okay.
And if I could get into the laptop and get the mailing list, it will go out to the mailing list. But failing which, or perhaps in line with which, Andy, when we've got something to go out, could I ask you to send it around on the mailing list to allow people
I think this is legitimate reason for doing that.
Yeah.
Be happy
Thank
to.
you. Because at the moment, we're not being able to get on this laptop onto the net. I can't get our mailing list.
Oh, super.
So, but that won't be until next week.
Yeah, send it over.
Thank you.
Right.
NMU 2000. Oh yes. So reading that newsletter, there was discussion that there was some sort of NMU going between Hilton and Gravely.
Yeah.
Along the A1198 there, it said, doesn't it?
Yes.
So-
It's not in the right Davis mentioned this. Yours.
Yeah,
Yes, it
but
is.
it doesn't go between Hilton and Gravely, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
It's,
So I sent you out a reply I had.
Yeah, it was a big help, that reply, wasn't it?
That's Stafford
Doing
Junction
something
Strike.
about crossing that.
Yeah.
It was about getting
I
across
think
the
that's all
road.
it means, but
The 1198.
Oh, the one I
Yeah, from the Gravely Road to the...
Yeah.
So what would it mean, coming out of Gravely, going down a cycle path, across the
No
back
idea.
up, or?
No, it probably means that
They can fix
cyclists
that,
have
but
got
yes,
to
the
walk
half
over.
something, let's put it on.
and the response was
Nondescript.
You don't know anything about this.
I'm completely lost as to what you're talking
Yeah.
okay. There was a
Me too.
newsletter.
So if you can,
There was a
I'm
newsletter
thinking
that
of
you
it.
circulated.
Did I circulate it? That doesn't mean to
One
say.
of the ones you circulated,
No, I get
which
it.
comes out before, and in it it said that the highways are looking at a NMU, highways between Hilton and Gravely.
But actually what it is that the 1198,
Yeah.
for cyclists getting across the 1198, so they can carry on to Gravely from this area, they were going to do something. But
Zigzag.
is
So
there
it says
any
on it
pathway?
here.
Do you mean a zigzag from
It's-
Gravely
Well,
Road?
We don't know.
it's currently a
Yeah.
zigzag,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the meaning they're going to do. I can't
That's
see.
the bit they're referring to, yeah.
It says £3.5 million funding to provide routes for cyclists, pedestrians and horse riders. We are not only improving a nationally important route through Cambridgeshire, we are also making it easier for people to get around the county on 2 wheels, 2 legs or even 4. From the outset of the A14 project included 13 miles of routes for cyclists, walkers and horse riders. By working with Cambridgeshire County Council, these routes are being improved by even further to fully link into existing routes to leave a much larger and better connected network for non-motorised users. A £3.5 million programme funded by Highways England and the County Council includes 8 projects, such as the extension of a route ending at Girton to provide a cycling and equestrian route into Cambridge and a footway/cycleway path along the A1198 Ermine Street to improve a popular rural route between Gravely and Hilton. We are working closely with Cambridgeshire County Council to finalise the design, with work expected to start this year, 2019. So we wrote to them and asked them for more information and got back Thank you for your email of the 22nd of January inquiring about funding for footpaths and cycleways in relation to the A14 to Cambridgeshire Improvement Scheme. We appreciate your interest in the footpath and cycleway news. We're working in partnership with Cambridgeshire County Council to deliver these projects. The detailed design is currently being undertaken by our consultants, and once completed, the works will be delivered by Cambridgeshire County Council's contractors. Cambridgeshire County Council will provide further information on the proposed works in the plan. Please contact Mike Davis. Thank you for taking the time to contact us.
That's right.
Can I say
So there was a surprise because nobody has ever mentioned a NMU between Hilton and Gravely.
I know there was discussions, Peter, on certain routes. The one that I perhaps know more a little about is Conington, okay, which I think is pretty well known actually. Over what back to the local road, etc. Yeah, okay.
a comment, please,
Yeah.
Peter? When I was on the Parish Council, we provided the £9,500 that came from the 106 from Scots Crescent, the extra houses, for the extra path that goes up out of St Ives, the gravel one. It's been an absolute waste of money because you hardly ever see anybody on it. My dogs have never been able to walk on it because the surface is bad. It's not being maintained. It's just a chronic waste of money, and that is another issue of waste of money. I'm all for recycling, but gracious people, cyclists have got brains. They can take their own safety
Thank you for your
procedures.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Could they be referring to the bridleway that comes out of Gravely Way and up to the 1198, which you then cross the 1198?
I think
Sadly, we know no more than that. That's the first time we heard about this proposal, and we've tried to find more information, and we'll get it.
Probably not though, because what we've done suggests that they wouldn't use a driveway as
As
an
an
NMU.
NMU,
Yeah.
And they're
Well,
doing
they said,
NMU.
they've also said or a footpath, so the hedging
I
about.
did say for four legs or something, didn't they?
Oh yeah, even four legs.
Those
Even four
comments
legs.
are
Too
made
long.
about the whole.
That's true.
The whole
So as long as this is, we don't know. So
We don't.
probably just-
And we've tried to find out, and we will continue to find out. Ian's going to try and find out some
Yes,
information for us
Then
as well.
Just to also just to say that there is quite a big lobby for four legs.
Yeah, some of the
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got quite a lot of horses.
Because I get lobbied, or I have been lobbied on four legs across the county because there's quite an active organisation which is based locally as well. Who I've met the lady, etc. So there is quite a big push for ensuring that it's not just for pedestrians or cyclists, and they always say the and they've queried some of council's policies when we do put cycleways in Ely or Wisbech or wherever. It's not just confined to this area, it's county-wide, that they just really essentially want the same facilities for the busway is the best example.
yeah,
Originally the busway was not designed for four legs. It is designed now for four legs.
four legs and seven wheels.
So there is a big lobby actually from them to the county, but also to highways.
Yeah.
It's not new, it's been happening for years and years. And it is difficult to, if you like, say, well, just because you've got a horse, you can't use a certain footpath or bridleway or boat even.
But I think there needs to be a bit of joined up thinking, because us at Hilton Parish Council, we have been screaming for this cycle path, equestrian way, footpath. And
What's
we've
happening?
contacted everyone, and there's money around, but they don't seem to be
Let me update
taking...
you.
Yes.
Let me update you.
Could you
I want-
update us at council's items if it's not on the agenda?
well, I've got NMUs as the next item on the
Let's-
agenda.
The NMU is the route between Hilton and Gravely. That's what's on the agenda.
Oh, Lord. Right, okay.
The idea of items being on the agenda is that it comes as a surprise to the public that we're discussing stuff.
It's all right, it's last minute news, but it'll be fine, council.
Yeah, it would be.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I suggested we put it there. If that's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. All right, so we'll, Ian's going to have a look, find out and see if you can find anything. My question was going to be on that Hilton and Gravely route was, in your discussions with Mike Davis, has he ever mentioned it?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that route along
They've gone
Hilton
into much
Bridge.
detail, just said it was something they were doing.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Never said when it's going to open or
No.
what it's going to consist of or anything like that.
Which would ask it more now, but never mind.
Yeah, because it came as a bit.
Yeah.
That's why I sent it round. Asked you to have a look at our newsletter. Right, okay. Item 4.1, update on easement of PEX copies. I have, without clerk, written to the district valuer as requested by the applicant at the last meeting, seeking a rewording of the easement document, or the valuation document, because we weren't happy that it didn't say green instead of common land, and asked him, the district valuer, for an opinion on the value of granting access on a shared driveway. And the district valuer has come back and said he's busy at the moment. He's doing valuation work and he will come back to me as soon as possible. I will chase him.
Can I just simply say it's been going since August?
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
5 months.
Charlotte.
5 months to get to this stage.
I keep asking him. I will chase it again.
Yeah.
We're not asking you. One of the things that comes up on payment of any bills. I know that last month you were the last meeting you were saying that you didn't want to pay for the thing until it was right. So we will pay the bill because you've undertaken through your solicitor to pay it, but we'll ask you for the money when it's right.
And how long is it going to be?
I don't know.
Been 5 months.
He told me he was busy doing
And
valuation.
before Christmas you said you'd come back as well, and you've never come back as well. You haven't got the decency to actually respond to anything, so how long is it going to take? How long is a piece of
I
string?
don't know how long it's going to take. I will write to him again and ask him, and I'll let you know what he says.
Yeah.
The easement group meet. I think we discussed at the last meeting, didn't we, the easement group?
We were going to meet if we had some updated information.
Okay.
We haven't had updated information. Try to get it. I can't
With
force it.
regard to the payment, I know it's going to happen section 6.1,
Yeah.
but because it's relevant. My view would be don't pay it if we haven't received
Exactly.
something we're happy with. So kind of
We'll
the
discuss it
question-
when it comes up, but we have an outstanding invoice that needs to be
Yeah,
paid. It's
but-
in Hilton Parish Council.
That's fine, but I think we've got a legitimate reason to say we're not paying it because you haven't completed the work, you're too busy. When you finished it, we'll complete the work. It's been complete with errors as far as we're concerned, so I think we're legitimate.
That's why it's on the agenda to
Okay.
be
I wasn't sure if
discussed.
it's relevant to discuss it now. So
You can discuss it now, that's fine. I think we should pay it because it's a bill that's,
I would never pay for something unless it's done.
Okay, that's funny.
we can go back and tell him.
Yeah, I think
But
we just go
that's
back
what
and say-
everybody agrees.
I
Yeah, I
really
mean, they're more
absolutely.
likely to correct it if we haven't paid them for it.
I don't say you can be busy for 5 months, and when the question was asked 5 months ago, with no understanding of any time frame of when you're going to come back with a valuation. It's just going on and on and on. It's
I also
pathetic.
think people tend to make time when they don't get paid for something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did we also need to discuss anything about the legal costs?
I think Joe gave you an update that the cost was £900 so far.
And is that stopped currently because nothing else is happening?
Not until, there's no other cost involved until we get.
Till we get the valuation back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so as I've said before, when we have some information, and if it comes in between meetings, we will call a meeting to try and get this resolved. Right. 4.3 is green open spaces, tree survey proposals. Ian circulated trees.
Ian, just quickly,
Yeah.
line 4,
Yeah.
the price in column B, start with price in column C. Is that me reading it wrong or is that a typo?
Which one? Line 4.
Line 4. You'll note the writing in red.
Yeah, I saw that. So is that why the price has changed from the left box to
Yeah.
the right box? So
Yeah.
that's a reduction from...
That's right. But in actual fact, sweat not, because we're not asking for that money on this occasion. Obviously a lot of issues here. We've got 33 items listed here. And we've looked at that. We've classified them as A, B or C. And looking at the costings involved, we believe that the budget this year, it's only correct that we can look towards getting the A items done. So those are the two columns, second and third from the right. So
You're
they,
talking 1,500 and 1,295, 1,565,
1295 and 1860. This and that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you meant A and A.
No.
Yeah.
So the total for those two
Mm-hmm.
is 3,155,
Yeah.
which is about what we set for last year.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of items that the volunteer group have already done,
Yes.
and there are 5 others identified there that we will try and get done in the next 7 weeks. So just to let you know, the total package of things that are,
Yeah, sorry, this
intended to.
is what's being done. Yeah.
yeah,
And that would leave £700 worth of work still to be done?
yes.
Yeah.
Unless we do it ourselves.
What
But
about
not
the
if
C,
we
what about the
couldn't
C
do it ourselves.
items?
Sorry?
What about the C items?
We haven't included those
They're not
because
really at all.
It's always been done, Laura, that when the survey gets undertaken, that priority of work is A,
Yeah.
there's stuff that needs to be done to keep the trees safe around the village. B is, if you like, what secondary needs, but if it wasn't done, it would become A next year. And C is,
we'll keep our eye on it.
yeah, might be something we can do,
Yeah.
and would then come up the list if it hasn't been done. So I think there's one there, isn't there, that hasn't. There's a couple more, sorry, I've missed a couple there now. C's, which are longer term,
Yeah.
expensive business having trees.
You added up, didn't you, roughly what the volunteer group managed to save the parish council so far with the last session?
That's
that the
right.
volunteer group did, didn't you?
In November, and that was about £700.
Yeah.
So it was quite a useful day's
Yeah.
work.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it?
So
So,
the amount is consistent with what was budgeted by the parish council to spend in a year on tree work.
That's right.
So that 3,100 is the standard amount you would put in.
Yeah.
in the
sadly, it's a lot of money,
Yeah.
lots of trees.
Just
So-
gotta do it.
The recommendation
Yes.
from the group is that we go ahead and do those A items totaling 3,155.
You're proposing that.
That needs to be
I'll
proposed,
second
done.
it.
Seconded by
All
hand.
in favour?
Thank you.
And was there an indication of when they might be? When it might be?
No, but again, we would hope to have that done within the next 7 weeks, i.e. before the end of March.
Yeah, and you've got a split between the two contractors.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's quite nice.
So then this work gets looked at again in a year's time to potentially look at the things that are B that we haven't done.
Yes, and the C's obviously.
And Cs.
Yeah. So what we
And
tend,
Recheck
look
everything
at
else.
everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's right.
Did you go on the tree survey?
I did.
Yeah, you walked around on
Yeah.
the tree survey with Ian,
And
one of the contractors.
one of the contractors,
Who's done it
absolutely.
many years and probably knows all the trees by name.
I never realised there were so many trees. It took us the whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, one of the contractors has been involved with the trees in the village for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. As a council, we have a responsibility to look at the best quotes from more than one source. We have another source, and that's why there's a
That's
split
why there's a
on it.
split, okay.
Yeah.
The tree survey doesn't cost us anything, which is very nice.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hours work there.
It does a lot for good lunch.
Yes, we had a lovely lunch at your house, thank you.
This is a really good example of supporting documentation. It would be really good if all this could be published for the village to see what we're all spending our money on. Could we have all that up, the list, the ABC lists, what we've agreed to spend? Because I think people sometimes think, what are you spending your money on? And I'd like to know trees. You know, I don't know the trees well enough to be.
We'll probably redact the names of the contractors.
Yeah, no, whatever, redact it. It's just I think villagers would like to know that we've got all these trees, they've all been surveyed, you're doing lots of hard work, we have to do ABC work and it's going to cost us money, so it's not for free.
And some people do say, you know, it's an awful lot of money to be spending on trees, as it were, only trees, they seem to infer. But, you know, I know it has to be done, but some people are a bit iffy about it.
I think if a branch fell on a child...
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
And that is the problem.
Yeah, that's absolutely the point. But, you know, there are people who are saying, oh, there's trees.
And that's why the volunteers group have tried to do a lot of work themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm just saying what some people say. I mean, I don't agree with it. If they say it.
Interestingly, the Parish Council receives no such comments. Okay, so thank you Ian on the tree, because I know you put a lot of work into this as well. And obviously you're lining up to pass out to Sarah. Just for the bash. You didn't hear that comment?
No, I didn't. I don't know what you said.
I said obviously Ian's lining it up to hand it over to you.
No, he wasn't.
Right, Ian.
Well. Yes,
I've agreed to.
the other item I'd like to mention is the maintenance contract.
Yes.
That is due for renewal as of beginning of April. Unfortunately, we're not able to vote on it this evening. It hasn't been specified in the agenda. But the Green Open Spaces Working Group did talk about this in some detail at the last meeting, and we have a recommendation that we'd like you to consider. And you've now got 4 weeks to consider it. It is slightly difficult negotiating a new contract at a time when we haven't got a clerk in place. So that's a little bit of a hiccup there. But having said that, when we looked at the contract, we found really there was very little, if nothing, that we needed to change. It's done pretty well. And so let's continue that way. Obviously, if we do have a new play park, there could be a small changes needed there. On the other hand, it may well be that the current contract covers that new play park, but that's all in the future.
Yeah. I had to submit the maintenance contract as part of the funding applications, that's the only thing. So I submitted the current one as it was on the website, and I referred to the fact it was in the process of being updated. I haven't had any comments back about that, but I think it's worth considering when we do. I don't think, not necessarily the contract with the person, but with, I think, the policy on the website about what is covered and what is being maintained. Because we do, do all that work on the park and the surrounding area, obviously want it to be maintained and kept as an open, attractive space and not just left to get overgrown again. So.
No, good point.
Around the play park.
So that's
excuse me, may I just put in, the outside of the play park has never been part and parcel of the contract. It's only been internal.
Yeah. In terms of the play park itself?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, other things you need to be aware of. Our current contractor has indicated that he can be hanging up his keys for his mower in 2 years' time and will be retiring. We've been talking to him and he has offered to extend his contract for a further 2 years. So that's the current contract with the current criteria laid down, and he's offered to carry that on for that further 2 years. And the recommendation from the working group was that we should accept that. As I said, we can't vote that through this evening, but that's just to let you have a bit of food for thought.
Agenda for thingy for next time.
Okay, I think that's all I need to say on this.
And we'll write in there that you don't have anything green mowed onto the green in the last month. No bulbs planted in particular fashion or anything.
The thing to do is with slow release fertiliser. It lasts a lot longer.
No. So that's going to come back next month as a proposal. That is the way forward.
That's right.
Thank you. Anything else from the Green Open Spaces group meeting?
Just quick comment about Reeve Ditch. The young lady who we looked upon as the water boat lady last year, it appears that her expertise is far greater than that, particularly in the aquatic environment. She was working for many years for the Environment Agency, and she has been along to look at Reeve Ditch, and she also came along to our working group meeting as well. She has offered to talk to the people who do a lot of the bank maintenance or make bank maintenance materials, and they're going to look at giving a spec for us to redevelop the southern bank of Reeve Ditch in a way that we can then take the silt from within the ditch and put it behind that new bank. So she's...
Would you say that's protecting the southern bank?
Yes.
Building it up?
Yeah. So it would actually move the bank probably about 1.5 meters further into the ditch. What it would also do is allow us to have a footpath at the back of that ditch, which would be accessible from the grove. So that would be quite a feature along there. So we're waiting to hear what she has to say, having spoken to Salix, this company. And I'm also pulling together grant applications with a familiar group, Amy, not Boy George, Mick George, and well, you never know, and the A14 fund. So I've written out expressions of interest for those. Once we have a price to work with, then I can put those forward and see how we do. So we are moving in the right direction, hopefully with Reeve Ditch.
How's the water level?
The water level, it's interesting. We've had yet another month, January, when the rainfall was half the average.
Has it?
23 mil, the average is normally about 52. Having said that, the water level within the ditch rose probably about 6 inches during January. So despite the fact we had very little rain, it has risen. We've had some very cold nights, so I've kept my eye on things down there. Bearing in mind we believe we have something between 150 to 200 fish in there, large ones. I've only seen one dead one so far, and I think any we've had that at this stage. So, excuse my voice tonight. But it does look as though it's doing all right.
Well done, good.
I think I'll stop now.
Yes.
Our feast week going to have those carp and chips tonight.
That's a good idea.
Oh my God.
Because 200 sounds an awful lot.
Imagine.
200 seems an awful lot in that space.
Because they can fortune finish.
We're
Yeah.
going to divide them up sometime.
Thank you, Ian.
Okay.
Thank you. I know I was at that part of the meeting and it was very interesting with you. So what could be done on that? Item 5.1 is just an update. The planning permission has been granted on the pavilion.
Wow.
Pavilion group is led by Sharon. She's not here, so she can't tell us where. So the next thing there would be, she wanted to get the planning permission approved before she applied for grants.
We had to. You know, last time the application was refused, and they very much suggested that you need the planning in place first.
Yeah, so that's good. I guess
So there's another load of money that the village is going to try and get from somewhere.
be interesting.
Lots
won't
it
it?
around.
Well,
So is there a plan for, because that was kind of before I came to council, is there a plan for where to get funding for that?
yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, we found one
okay.
that was nearly successful. The only problem is we didn't have 2 changing rooms or something.
Okay.
Something simple. two rules, two changing, something.
No.
So we'll go back to context.
Yeah. And they will say to get the money
Yeah.
first. And so, as you'll remember from a previous discussion, there is some money within the council funds. that's
Yes.
been-
$7,000.
Yeah, 10% of the anticipated building cost.
Hopefully we'll put a meeting, Sharon will put a meeting together at some point this month and maybe get some info to you next month.
Yeah, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's
It's
fantastic.
approved as submitted. Okay.
Sorry.
Tea's ready. 6.1 is authorised payment of any bills. You've got the list. I'll read them out. I would read them out. I have got it somewhere.
I've got my machine.
Okay, so we have JSC Services, £660 standing order for January, that's the contract. Ecotricity direct debit, £8.37, which is an estimate. Wendy Oldfield, 4 diffusion tubes and analysis, £43.20. I've got a question for people's memory on this. When this was originally put forward to the Parish Council to fund these diffusion tubes, it was 3 tubes for a year. Total cost of something or other. Okay. This invoice has come through for 4. I propose we pay 4, and I will check with her where the 4
It's 4 at a time. It's 2 each month. It's always been that.
Well, that's what I was confused about, because when the thing was originally, from what I can remember when the thing was originally proposed, as per the minutes, it said that there were 3, and then this comes up as 4. We're not up to the total spend that we agreed as a council.
No, it's 2 parts of the village, at the crossroads and near the shop. Every month it's changed, and the results come back. So it's and we get blocks of 4 because they're time sensitive.
October to December. This is, so you're saying the 4 tubes and service is actually 2 tubes per month.
Yes.
So
Yes.
October and November.
Yes.
I'll just check with Wendy about the total spend, because obviously as a council we agreed a total spend.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that we're still within that. Just need to make sure that we're still within that over the time. Then we have handyman for November, December and January, £97.65. Sorry, the amount of that was £43.20. We have K&M lighting, street light maintenance, £169.60 for the quarter of January to end of March. I have had reported one of the lights is out, so I shall report back when I send them a check. We agreed a donation to Community Speedwatch of £50 last month, so it's
Should be Road Watch.
Road Watch.
Should it? Okay, I can change that. The website hosting and domain name is due for payment, which is £85 and £15. And then there's a cheque for the district value, but I've got a sense of that you don't pay that one at the moment, so that's fine.
Hold.
So what I'll do is I will put in the minutes of that, providing. What I'll do is in the minutes, under where we discussed 4.1, I'll put in comment that it was voted to hold back on that payment. I'll redo this list of payments, removing it from this payment list, so that the aforementioned items are the ones that we'll be paying. And I will propose that those are paid.
Second it.
Thank you. All in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. SP. Second of it. I haven't had a statement this month, so I can't tell you about that, but I'll look as soon as I get the statement. Item 7, councillors' items. Rob, anything for?
Nope.
And you have?
I have 4 things.
Yes.
Lucky people.
Hang on then.
Yes.
No?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Next.
No,
All right.
I thought if everybody else was saying no, we've just gone round and then Anne would say, but we'll let Anne go with her 4. Remember, no discussion.
Right, really quick. One is one of the people who lives on Scott's Crescent is getting mighty sick of double-decker buses passing each other on the road, which is quite a challenge. A massive great, presumably A14, don't know, crane managed to manoeuvre itself around Scots Crescent, and even buses that aren't picking up kids in Scots Crescent are using that instead of going to the crossroads. So she was getting mighty sick of it. I know it's not, I guess it's a county council, but we ought to, as we've done before, get back to the bus companies and the A14 people and say, you do not use that as an alternative to the crossroads. Much rather that they stuck their hands in their pockets and gave us some funding, or will create some roundabout or something to make the crossroads more usable. So that's one. Next one is Laura got emails saying, would you like some printer packs for the vulnerable? So we got heaps, and some have been distributed via the 2 churches. Thanks to Lynn and to Rachel at Kirchwood. I've got about 4 left. My dad thought they were great, by the way. I've got from the mobile library some up-to-date times, so I don't know if anybody wants these. I've put them on the notice boards, but if anybody wants them. And then the two things left after that.
That's fine then.
Sorry, so
Sorry.
the
Won't discuss it.
the bus survey, I've emailed it tonight. I'm trying to make sense of the bus survey data. I do hate it when people use Survey Monkey and don't actually set up the analysis in advance. I've said this to you, that this is a start for 10 for the information, not to be discussed now, but it looks like 260 odd people, not odd people, but also people in the parish responded to the survey. So from my point of view, my snap judgment here is that there's quite a lot of demand for buses. So have a good look. I haven't finished playing around with data because it's in such a mess. But anyway, we will get something more robust to you next time. In terms of our cycle path funding, or NMU funding, chased them up, and today we got a note from John Stanley, who's the project manager for the feasibility study, and he will be sending a draft feasibility study brief to Rob and Ian and Peter at some point this week, so that we can comment on the brief. So that should start by the beginning of March. And then the other thing, I got an email from Beth Emmanuel, who told us all about having the funding for the feasibility study, saying, once you've got that done, you might have to apply to this other fund to actually build the thing. So she's ahead of herself, but that's fine. We'll start looking at the application. The end.
Thank you, Anne.
I've forgotten.
No.
So yeah, lots of exciting things, but people are waking up after Christmas, I think.
Well, they are. Absolutely, yeah.
And by the way, Mobile Library, they take magazines and give magazines, so it's really great. If you want to donate your magazines to the Mobile Library.
Oh, really?
Not nasty ones.
No.
But anyway,
Has it changed times? Because it's in the spectrum, that's all I'm thinking. The time would change and we
I put them on the notice board and...
Have you got it in the shop?
same time.
Anyway.
One in the shop
Right,
and...
thank you.
Pass.
If you've got questions round about it afterwards, give us questions afterwards. Yeah? Non-discussion.
Or I can tell you the lovely lady to contact if you want to know where to
Right.
live.
Benches.
Done.
That's about it.
Thank you.
On the agenda next time, Kieran will be leading that because I won't be here. And I'll brief him about it.
Thank you. Sarah?
I don't know if there's anything you can do about it, but it really cheeses me off. In Church Lane, right at the end of Church Lane, looking at our beautiful church, there sits a dirty great water tanker every single night. I have spoken to various people, and everyone seems to say to me, no, you can't do anything. We must be able to stop a dirty great water tanker parking there every single night. I know the lady lives there, in Church Lane, but surely you can't take commercial vehicles home.
Yes,
Yeah, they can.
Yes,
Yes, you can.
Fine, thank you very much. Laura.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that I keep getting these emails from Cambridgeshire County Council to dear parishes, but no one else seems to get them. So
The one, sorry, I'm going to make a comment on this. The one you got yesterday, you got today. I got today. Yeah.
So that was the same email I got about the winter health packs and then about the bus services
Yeah,
for the
I
county.
got that today.
So I just thought, if no one else is getting them, I don't know how we get everyone, but I think it'd be useful if everyone got them, or at least it confirmed that the clerk was definitely signed up to get those and could
The
pass
client
those on.
definitely gets.
Okay. Must be special. And the other thing was just,
It's a ring.
sorry, I should probably do something, but just about speed watch. So we have now got quite a few people trained, and the last update I got was that they were ordering new equipment. So that was the hold up, but it was due to be delivered at the end of last week, and they were hoping to set up the first on the road sessions this week. My apologies to the volunteers because I didn't contact them to find out the availability. I have done that today, but obviously it's quite last minute now, so I don't know if they are still available or if the guy that organises Speed Watch is, but hopefully we can set up the first session in the next week or so. And then I just wanted to sort of probably discuss at the next meeting what we're doing about that going forward. So either as a council we're agreeing to tell the volunteer group what frequency we want them to do it at and how we want them to manage that and then coordinate amongst themselves, or we agree someone potentially if we need a counsellor to coordinate that regularly. I probably don't think I can take on doing that on an ongoing basis. So if we can agree something between us that we just pass on to the volunteer group to do themselves, then that may work.
I'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I've got nothing to add except to thank you for those people doing bits and pieces around with working groups and information coming back to council meetings. Thank you. Meeting closed 9:10.